So in this video, I'm talking about the importance of not using the way someone looks as a gauge as to whether or not you should be taking fitness advice from them. Now, this may sound a little bit paradoxical as myself, I'm a natural bodybuilder. And I'm essentially saying that you shouldn't take advice from someone who looks like me simply because I look the way I do. But that's exactly what I'm saying. It's not something that's said very often because people like myself in the fitness field want to have more clients. We want to have more business. And as such, we do use our physical appearance as a major way of advertising ourselves and also advertising our expertise. Because for most people, the idea that someone could achieve a certain physique means that they know what they're doing. And in this video, I talk about the fact that that's not necessarily true. What I am saying is that that should never be the only criteria that you use in selecting a coach or someone to follow, or heaven forbid, someone who you're looking to for advice about your diet. Good athletes don't necessarily make good coaches. And it's important that you be very much aware of this because it can be dangerous. So stay tuned and I'll talk a little more about this. So in this video, I'm talking about why you should never take advice from someone solely based on the way they look or the fact that they happen to be a fitness influencer. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, especially those who say that this is an excellent resource for anyone interested in training naturally. I really appreciate the support, and do be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell as well so you're first in line to get the new content as it comes out. So on to the topic at hand. Over the years, as social media began to propagate, what I saw was a number of people beginning to contact me talking about the fact that they followed a particular diet and they had tragic outcomes. Sometimes I wish that everyone could see the number of emails and the number of people who I've worked with who have had serious adverse effects to their health because they were following along with what someone who's a fitness influencer was either doing, or they were following a dietary protocol prescribed to them by a fitness influencer. I also had people contacting me saying that they were in touch with fitness influencers in person and they found themselves using anabolic steroids and wanted to figure out how to get off. It's really a horrible thing to see someone who is genuinely trying to find a way to realize their fitness goals and fitness dreams ending up in a place where they are losing their hair, ending up in a place where they are compromised in terms of being able to work, ending up in a place where they find themselves using drugs that they really didn't want to use in the first place, but they went along with it because the person who they were looking up to said it was best for them to do so to look the way they did. The analogy I like to use is the fact that just because someone may be an outstanding Tour de France cyclist and can win every single year doesn't necessarily mean that they have what it takes to coach someone else to do the same. It's a really difficult place to be right now because number one, not everyone who looks fantastic is a good coach or has a sound understanding of nutrition or has an understanding that each individual coming to them has to be approached as individuals and that there's no such thing as a cookie cutter diet that's going to work for every single person. And that, yes, you can make a lot of money creating these cookie cutter diets, these cookie cutter workout routines. And you can also be led to think in your own perceptions that if I look fantastic and I did this, then if I tell someone else to do the same thing that I did, they'll probably look fantastic as well. That's the sad part. The sad part is that that's just not true. But most people, especially those who use anabolic steroids, in my experience, they don't seem to realize that how they look is based almost completely on the drugs that they're taking. They let themselves believe the myth that somehow or the other, it's the hard work that they're putting in. It's the way that they're eating. It's the genetics that they have. It's not. And on the other side, we have men and women, really young, in their teens, early 20s, who do blow up as superstars in the fitness industry because they're young and they look fantastic because they have fantastic genetics. Now, if I naturally had really big biceps without ever lifting a weight, and when I started lifting weights, my biceps got a little bigger, but they were always big to begin with, I will probably be the person that in the fitness influencing world of today would be known as the guy to go to if you want any information and advice about how to get big biceps. But right there, think about that. The people who are going to have the best biceps, the people who are going to have the best abs, the people who are going to have the best overall symmetry, the best legs, the best glutes, they're going to be the ones in this huge genetic pool that probably when they're younger are going to look that way, whether they worked out or not, whether they ate a particular way or not. And a lot of what we see in the way people look, especially when they're younger, is more or less correlative, not causative. It's not because that they ate a certain way or did a certain workout or did a particular exercise. And I love the magic of if you do these exercises, you'll be able to shape your body to look like mine that I hear all the time because it's impossible. It doesn't work that way. We have to start talking about the fact that certain people are born looking a certain way and that we should not be looking at them for advice if you were not born looking that way as well. And I can tell you the majority, and this is from someone who's a little bit on the older side, the majority of men and women who look fantastic in their teens and early 20s, the majority of them will not look any different from how the average person tends to look by the time they're in their late 30s and their 40s. That's just how it is. We have to remember the majority of us, the overwhelming majority of us, and I say us because I cannot really say from my 125-pound origins at 6 feet tall that I was genetically blessed to be a bodybuilder. It took me a long time to get to me looking the way I do. And I say that because I think it's important for us to also have that in perspective. If we're looking at a fitness influencer who has been training for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, and they look amazing and outstanding, that's great. That's fantastic. And, my heart goes out to them. That's fantastic. But the fact that it didn't take them that long to get there means that what they are doing may or may not apply to the rest of the general population. Because for most people, and I'm going to be honest with you, for most people to have that near world class physique, it'll take 7 to 10 years. And no one wants to hear that. 7 to 10 years? That's impossible. I've consistently seen those men and women who looked fantastic when they were younger be completely outclassed by those who didn't look that great starting off. But as the years went by, they kept at it and they kept kept working at their craft. Because at the end of the day, that's what you should be looking at. You should be looking at those who see what they're doing as a craft and that they're trying to master that craft. There's an old saying that my martial art teacher would say, and he said it's important not to try to follow in the footsteps of those who achieve great things. Instead, try to understand what they were looking for. And also importantly, they have to be able to master the craft, not just of doing, but of teaching. When I started off as a personal trainer at 17 years old, I was nowhere near what I would consider to be a good personal trainer because I was too inexperienced. My initial thought was, well, if I trained everyone the way I did and they ate exactly the way I did, they'd get where I am. And I found out very quickly that that did not work. Because number one, no one wants to train the way I do. I go as hard as someone who is trying to be one of the best natural bodybuilders on the planet, which isn't the mindset of someone who just wants to lose 10 pounds. And also, it's important to get out of your own head and away from yourself. You have to be completely altruistic in your approach. These people are in your care. And what they're looking for and their path is something that you want to help nurture. You want to help nurture them along the path so that their experience with you isn't just a matter of they try to become a mini you, but they try to become the best them that they can be. From when I look at a lot of social media fitness influencers, I hear a lot about them and about them and about them, how great they look, how great their lives are, what they eat, what they do. We don't hear much about altruism. And you need to be careful with that. You need to have someone who's going to take the time to look at you because you are important. Your path is important. I have seen some top bodybuilders take on training partners and they trained right alongside them and they ate exactly the same things that they ate and they ended up in the hospital. Why? Because they ended up with such severe nutrient deficiencies that they ended up being hospitalized for it while eating exactly the same thing that someone who is a competitive bodybuilder who looked fantastic was eating. Now, the question is, well, why didn't that person who was a competitive bodybuilder not end up in the hospital? Well, I don't know. But what I do know is this, that that particular person's diet and the diets of a lot of people who may look fantastic aren't necessarily great diets in terms of health. So I need you to start thinking about you again. Stop looking outside of yourself. You don't need anything outside of yourself to be successful or someone outside of yourself to follow to be successful. You need guidance, not necessarily follow, copy and paste. It doesn't work like that. So again, let's go back to individualism and the idea that you, the individual, are important and that that fitness influence that you're looking at right now. And I've seen this, and this is the thing that you need to also hear. If you do the hard work and you may not look fantastic right now, but you put in that hard work and you put in that time, put in those years, you may have the same experience that I have where you have that very same fitness influencer who was so big when they were younger coming to you for advice as to what to do to look the way you do. So let's remember that the superstars are the persons looking right back at us in the mirror. Thanks a lot for tuning in and Excelsior.